I think it is 4:30 already, and we are ready to start. So, with 22 participants, we can start, and then others will slowly join. What is the opinion of the panelists and others, those who have participated? Okay. Actually, गुरसिमरन जी, प्लीज उनको एडमिट करते जाइए जो ज्वाइन करना चाहते हैं.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sure.
Already people are. So okay, thank you. I had this thing communication with Sharda Lakra, and she will join soon. She maybe these are some network issues, and she will join soon. Uh, this is a very important issue in the sense uh, we have been talking about involuntary displacement, development induced displacement, and we are we cannot we are not it's not correct, we cannot say even that climate induced displacement. However, to begin with this climate is induced displacement thing, we will discuss about different types of migration, due to human trafficking. Human trafficking is a very big issue, and I think Amrita will highlight that area. And I have somehow I have seen Dr. Leila Jafar. She has joined, and whatever. Let me first congratulate all panelists, moderator, and all the participants. And their enthusiasm for this session is really very much appreciable. This is Prism's Silver Jubilee year, and in this year we thought of uh, having series of webinars, and the first one was held in 8th of December, that you all know. This is the second one on 17th of January. Accordingly, in February, March. So, in all the months, we will have different issues to be discussed. And already we have got proposals from different agencies, different people to organize something. Good. This is something is a very burning topic, I believe, that we have been talking about, like the organization's name I am saying. The organization's name is Danish Refugee Council. But the term refugee is United Nations, they are not ready to accept. So, like me, there are many people who are refugees. Refugee from Bangladesh, refugee from Pakistan, refugee from this. They are war victims. They are victims because of many climate issues, many things. But we uh, don't see anything like any entitlement matrix. Though we have been saying that it is a human right issue, it is a dignity issue, but uh, I have failed to see any such document all over the world which recognizes those refugees, and it is true that those who have been working in humanitarian sector, they know that in every whatever we say, it is extreme event, we say sometimes, we say disasters. So whatever it is, these are actually maybe man-made, maybe uh, natural, but uh, ultimately, who are the victims? Those people who are most vulnerable. And who are the most vulnerable people? Those who are actually living near the um, river and face the river erosion thing. Those who are staying in jungles, in the forests, they face the consequences. Likewise, so for them, unless and until there is an uh, entitlement matrix, like what is actually available for the people who are involuntarily displaced, who didn't want to become displaced, but they are forced to displace for different development projects or something. That's why Dr. Walter Fernandez, he has had coined the term development induced displacement. So that development induced displacement, yes, yeah, Nita has raised something very pertinent. हिंदी में बोलना है, या नीता, थोड़ा हम लोग भूल जाते हैं, कुछ कुछ लोग, लेकिन हम लोग लोकलाइजेशन के ऊपर बहुत चर्चा भी करते हैं। तो हिंदी में बोलने से सब लोगों को समझने में आसान होगा। जिसको समझ में नहीं आएगा, जिसको हिंदी नहीं आता है, वी कैन ट्रांसलेट डेफिनेटली इन इंग्लिश। तो इन लोगों के लिए हम कोई बात नहीं करते हैं, ना छेड़ते हैं, और इसके लिए जो भी मिनिमम स्टैंडर्ड है, जो भी फेयर गाइडलाइन है, जो भी कुछ है, वो हम लोग सरकार के भरोसे में छोड़ देते हैं। और सरकार में जो लोग हैं, जैसे कि मैक्सिमम तो ये इंडिविजुअल ड्रिवन है, तो ये व्यक्ति के ऊपर निर्भर करता है। कोई 2 किलो चावल देगा, कोई 5 किलो चावल देगा, कोई 20 किलो चावल देगा, वो आदमी के ऊपर है। कोई आदमी अच्छा है, उसका वो करप्ट नहीं है, तो ठीक रहेगा। लेकिन एंटाइटलमेंट मैट्रिक्स अगर सबको पता होगा, एंटाइटलमेंट मैट्रिक्स जिसको कहा जाता है, अगर वो ठीक से बनाया जाएगा, तो दैट वुड बी that would become easier. Yes, Aniruddha ji, Anirudh Hajarika, he had said that it is difficult for him to understand Hindi. Yeah, what I said, that is most of the vulnerable people, those who are maybe because of river erosion, maybe because of some other issues, so these are actually whom we consider as climate induced displaced people. So this displaced population, these displaced people, so they are depending on the relief they receive from the person, from the individual holding the position of a BDO or district magistrate or whatever. If he is good, or he or she is good, then people will get good relief. If they are not, they are corrupt, they will not. So it is, we don't want to live in the mercy of the people's choices. We actually want an entitlement matrix which would ensure that what we are supposed to get, and that would ensure also human rights, dignity, and all these things. So over to Sumitra ji. I have taken much time, so over to Sumitra ji for moderating the session, and I will be a good listener, and I'll try to listen whatever you will say, the panelist will say. Thank you.
थैंक यू अनिरुद्ध जी एंड मैं इंग्लिश हिंदी मिक्स करके बोलूँगी, सो आई थिंक दैट विल बी बेनिफिट फॉर एवरीवन. जलवायु परिवर्तन। और अनिरुद्ध जी ने काफ़ी कुछ ऑलरेडी इंट्रोड्यूस किया। सबसे पहले मैं स्फेयर को थैंक यू बोलूँगी बिकॉज ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजिंग एंड ब्रिंगिंग पीपल पीपल टुगेदर, ताकि हम लोग सब आपस में इतने एक इम्पॉर्टेंट इशू में हम लोग डिस्कस कर पाए और हम अपने जो भी लोग जुड़े हुए हैं उनसे हम एक्सपीरियंस शेयर कर पाए। तो वी आर वेरी प्रिविलेज टुडे एंड वी हैव ए वेरी वेरी एनरिच्ड, बहुत एक्सपीरियंस लोग आज हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं, जिनमें से हम लोग एक एक से सुनेंगे। सबसे पहले हम मिस देवद्रित और सेनगुप्त जी से करवाती हूँ। वो बाल रक्षा भारत में काम कर रही हैं एज ए मैनेजर। उनने काफ़ी काम किया हुआ है अपने इस दिशा में। उनका जो उनसे हम सुनेंगे। इनका 15 years ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस है, जो कि एविडेंस बेस्ड एडवोकेसी पे काम कर रही हैं। एविडेंस बेस्ड उनका रिसर्च, उनका प्लेटफॉर्म है, which is a very good thing to know that this is not something very theoretical. We will listen to her now on the climate action and DRR, and basically her focus will be today is on the gendered impact of climate induced migration. So over to you, Devadrita.
Thank you so much, Sunita ji, and thank you so much, Aniruddha and the Sphere India Academy for inviting me here. It's a pleasure, as always, to be on the panel or whether I attend as a participant, because these are some of the burning issues, very relevant issues that needs attention right now. And this is the right time to, decide how do we go forward as a platform, as a collective. हम लोग एक साथ कैसे इन सारी चीजों पे काम कर सकते हैं, ये बहुत ज़रूरी है अभी तय करना। इसलिए ये मेरी सौभाग्य है कि हमको बुलाया गया है इस प्लेटफॉर्म में बात करने के लिए। I'll try to mix English and Hindi. And my apologies, I'm right now in the boarding queue. So if there are any questions that I'm not there to answer, I'm very happy to get back to you if you'd mail it to me or share it through Aniruddha or Sunita ji. As the number and intensity of extreme weather events बढ़ती जा रही है, continues to rise, vis-a-vis people's inadequate adaptive capacity, inadequate threat tolerance capacity. जैसे जैसे हम लोग एक्सट्रीम वेदर इवेंट्स की नंबर्स बढ़ते जाने की देख रहे हैं, इंटेंसिटी इंक्रीज होते जा रही है देख रहे हैं, एंड उसके साथ अगर हम लोग कंपेयर करें कि लोगों की जो थ्रेट को टॉलरेट करने की जो कैपेसिटी है, उनको अडेप्ट उसके साथ रिस्क के साथ जीने का जो कैपेसिटी है, उससे वो बहुत कम लग रही है। और इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में अगर हम लोग देखें तो द इंडिविजुअल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चरल environmental, socio-economic loss and damage also continues to be on the rise at the same time. जो भी जितने भी लॉस एंड डैमेज की हम लोग देख रहे हैं, वो लोगों की अपनी जिंदगी की हो, सोसाइटी की हो, कम्युनिटी की हो, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की हो, वातावरण की हो, परिवेश की हो, वो भी अभी हम लोग देख रहे हैं कि वो बढ़ती जा रही है। एंड दिस इज ऑल्सो बिकॉज हमारी जितने सिस्टम्स एंड स्ट्रक्चर्स इन प्लेस अभी है, they are not that responsive to the climatic shocks and stress or the resultant loss and damage. They cannot absorb that much shock and stress. And so there is a spillover effect जो लोगों के ऊपर आती है, and that adds to the duress they feel when they decide to migrate. They are not migrating out of choice. They are not happily migrating. They are, as Anuradha was mentioning, they are not happy to migrate. This is a migration which is under duress and which is very unsafe in nature. A number of empirical studies, if you see, has already established the link between climate variability and distress migration. Especially in India, if you see, even more than fast onset disasters, in slow onset disasters, we can actually trace the migration patterns and link them with climate variability between different states. It can be from rural area to rural area. It can be from rural area to peri-urban area. It can be from rural area to urban area. And if you see, one of the most apt pieces of research was by Oxford University. some years back, which was published in one of the international economic journals, उसमें कहा जाता है कि migration as an adaptation strategy is beginning to be established when it comes to a post-disaster scenario where livelihood has been affected, where life has been affected, where property loss has been there, where asset loss, infrastructural loss has been significantly high. This may be a negative strategy. This is a very negative coping strategy when it comes to distress migration. But this is an established adaptation strategy as of now. If you see, when we are talking about distress migration, it is only taking place when other coping mechanisms. It's not that people are not aware of positive coping mechanisms or positive fallback mechanisms. People are aware of at least some of them, but those start to look unavailable or too costly, or it could seem ineffective to them, which is why more and more people are choosing migration as a negative adaptive strategy. But what happens this way is vulnerable people become even more vulnerable. जो already vulnerable लोग हैं, वो जब adaptation strategy, negative adaptation strategy के तौर पे migration को choose करते हैं, वो और भी vulnerable हो जाते हैं. And why is that so? हम लोग बहुत inequities और intersectionality की बात करते हैं. When it comes to gender, it's not about man, woman, or non-binary people, or an adult or a child specifically. It's about all of them. Which strata of the society they are coming from, what kind of vulnerabilities they are already facing, they're already under. For example, a malnourished child forced to migrate, his or her family would be very rarely be able to provide Anganwadi access or ready-to-eat therapeutic food or nutrition rehabilitation, because those kind of strategies take time, those kind of strategies take resources, those kind of strategies take access to basic services. And these people may not have that. So it is not only about one particular category of people, it is about all the gender roles, all the intersectionality factors, all the inequity factors that we are looking at here. तो हम लोग जब देखते हैं हर मेंबर ऑफ द फैमिली हर मेंबर ऑफ द फैमिली के ऊपर इसका असर डिफरेंटली आता है एंड देयर इज अ डिफरेंशियल in how even the similar kind of situation can affect them differently. For example, how they can access information, whether they are at all able to access information or not. Are they able to access basic services? Are they able to access skill development opportunities, work opportunities with dignity? Are they able to access a socio-economic support system in their community? And so on. And it affects each individual separately, depending on their gender, depending on their age, depending on how that family is situated and how that individual is situated in that particular unfamiliar environment where they have no idea of what the risks and the resources are. Migrating families जब कोई जगह में जाते हैं, most of the time उन पास कोई idea नहीं होता है कि how that environment is working, what are the ways of life there, right? वहाँ पे risk क्या है, कहाँ पे है, वहाँ पे क्या resources है, कैसे basic services को access करना है, कहाँ से information मिलेगा, कहाँ पे job opportunity के बारे में उनको पता चलेगा, how they will access skill development opportunities, ये सारी चीजें उनके पास पता initially at least नहीं रहता है, and that makes them unable to cope with most of the distressing factors in the initial periods. Before I move forward, I will just clarify one thing here, that when we're talking about climate variability as a causal factor for outmigration, I'm mostly referring to people who are dependent on agro-based or agro-adjacent livelihood mechanisms, and where climate-induced risks and rise in frequency and intensity of extreme weather events have a very significant effect on the household economy as well as the life standards, quality of life of different family members. So, coming back to the unprepared immigrants, it is also very important to understand that not only the migrating population, uh, it is not only it is the migrating population that is underprepared or overwhelmed by the urban complexities and mostly non-responsive systems and structures. It is also the urban areas who are not really prepared and overwhelmed by the incoming flow of migrating people. When we are talking about gender differentials, we can actually see the effect on people's lives. For example, some of them are very visible, some of them are not so visible. But let me give you some examples. For example, for adult women, asking to work in the unorganized sector almost always result in lesser pay for similar work as men, no place to breastfeed or care for young children, no benefits, discriminatory attitude, longer hours for same pay as men, and no bargaining power in essence. In the social environment as well, they experience a lot of bullying, social and economic extortion, exploitation, and abuse, especially sexual exploitation in a lot of different ways. Even if I consider trafficking, children dropping out of school, children in labor, or even children getting married off, girl children have even less agency and protection than the others. However, coming to the non binary segment of the population, an addition of the stigma is added to this entire array of abuse, and with even less amount of quantum of choice available. So it is critically important to consider a migration support system both at the source and destination points, even or especially when the migration is distress or unsafe migration. Access to citizenship documents, access to basic services and entitlements, socioeconomic opportunities, social and workplace protection, access to social protection, especially risk transfer schemes, and the right information at the right time are the most important components of an enabling environment that also helps to protect the development gains that we have already invested in. Right. So, in order, and this is also very important to improve the adaptive capacity of people so that they do not spiral into this vicious cycle of continuously migrating and continuously, sliding uh, below, sliding lower and lower into the rings of the society. So, as a policy recommendation from my end, I would suggest initiation of a neighborhood-based support system or a sort of common service center mechanism uh, that for immigrants to any neighborhood to ensure um, we lose fewer children, women, and non-binary persons in the cracks of the social protection floors. We can reduce the quantum of forced migration and at the same time improve the quality of life. And how we do that? This improved mechanism is to ensure access to a set and minimum basic services um, and resources and community-based support system for better integration of migrants into the host communities and the setting um, up and ensuring of basic minimum quality of life uh, in the source communities as well. So I'll pause here and I'll be very happy to answer any questions you might have right now or later on through mail as well.
Thank you very much. I know that you were quite time pressed at the moment while you are boarding. It is quite insightful the way you have captured the migration support, especially because voluntary involuntary migration or displacement, what we talk about, we definitely need support, not only from at the end when we get final destination is, but also throughout the process. I know that you are, I don't know if you have time to answer a question, or we can then share you later and then we can get your answer.
I'm here for another 5-7 minutes. So maybe one question or two I can try.
Okay. uh, because like your topic is on the gender, I would like to ask one particular question that we all know. I think I'm talking about India, where we all know that the support system required for a children or for the woman or for the man, an adult or the elder, what is the particular challenge do you see? Because there is either the stakeholders not taking the accountability or the policies are not in place to be able to do your work or get supported to that community, to the, especially I would like to talk about here about women and children.
A very, very pertinent question. And I must say that when I go to the slums of different cities, I see in the informal settlements, especially, you can see how before we go, we are briefed that you should look at women participation or children participation. Now, when I go, in contrary to the advice I get, I see women participation and children participation in the meetings is not an issue. They come, the men do not come. Or when the men come, the women and children are not there. That is the challenge. It is not a challenge to get a lot of women in your meeting. It is not a challenge to get a lot of children in your meeting or a lot of men in your meeting. But the challenge is getting them all there together, ensure that they actively participate, respect each other's opinions, and reach a consensus. So that is a challenge that I'm looking at. But even that, it can be overcome if we, bring all the stakeholders on board. And it is not something that we do piecemeal, but as a collective, as a platform, if we go ahead, because all of us have different strengths, and we need to bring those strengths in a complementary action and take that forward into the settlement. So that is how I think we should move forward.
वेरी ब्यूटिफुली सेड देवोद्रिता, आपने बहुत अच्छा बोला. आई व्हाट आई वुड लाइक टू से टू ऑल द पार्टिसिपेंट, इफ यू हैव फर्दर क्वेश्चंस, इफ यू कैन जस्ट टाइप इन and then we see that if we can take those questions on the go. Thank you, Devadrita. I wish you a very safe flight for now,
Uh,
and then we definitely will be in touch.
Sumita ji,
Huh?
I have seen Dr. Surajit Ghosh. He was raising his hand. Uh,
Oh, I can't see
yeah,
that. Oh, I'm so sorry.
he's,
Can you
he's
please come forward and then please speak up? I need a help because I cannot see who is
okay,
raising
okay,
hand.
okay. Surajit da, you can raise your question, whatever it is, because Devadita has still she has time.
I don't know
Dr.
if he need a support to be unmuted.
Dr. Ghosh, yeah, he
Yes,
has
yes,
unmuted.
now I can. So I
Yes.
have a very specific point to Madam Devadrita. Thank you for your insightful discussion lectures. So I'm not in this particular domain, but what I understood, and I had few questions. So one of them is, do you have, I would say, very specific data or information center for this kind of displacement in our country?
There are a lot of studies, Dr. Ghosh, but I don't think
Mm,
there is one for all the states or where all data is compiled together. There are different
mm,
studies I can recommend to you where you will
okay.
get the this one I already referred to when I was talking about. This is one of my
Mm,
favorite pieces of document. I keep on reading it. This was by Oxford University, and it was published in Kesifo Economic Studies Journal some years back. And
yeah.
this talks about interstate migration, especially
Mm,
slow onset disasters in the context of Bihar. There are other studies. One was launched last year by MS Swaminathan Foundation on climate agroecological zones. How it affects the life of women and children because of climate variability. What are they doing? How are they coping with it? So that is another excellent study that I really like. From
yeah.
Balaksha Bharat, Save the Children, which is my organization, we have had one study in the context of Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, and other states, Madhya Pradesh, and all, where we looked at different types of climate-induced variabilities and extreme weather event and post-disaster situation. And I'm sure you are aware of Professor Tuhin Ghosh from Jadavpur University. He was one of the principal researchers here. And that also was on the climate impact of children and climate impact on children. So these are some of the studies. I can also come up with some more climate resources.
Sure,
If
sure, sure.
you can
Thank you.
take
Only,
my
yeah. Only
email
another,
address from Aniruddha and I can write back to
sure,
you.
sure. I'll do. Only one more point here. So, when you talk about the migration or displacement, is there any segregation between temporal displacement and permanent displacement, or it is only seen as a displacement when you do this
No,
kind of
there are,
analysis?
no. Actually, in my experience, there is definitely different kind of displacement that you can see even in one migrant community, where some people will be permanently displaced, and then some people will be temporarily, or you could say cyclically displaced. They have agro-based or agro-adjacent work for part of the year, and part of the year they will be in the urban center or the peri-urban center. Some people will be permanently displaced, and even from Kolkata, I have seen unsafe migration. Like they could not make a suitable livelihood for them or suitable life for them in Kolkata, and they migrated to other places, even more vulnerable situation. So those kind of migrations are also there. I mean, whatever kind of migrations we have read about in the economic or sociological studies, you can see all varieties here, and you can actually see the differences in the vulnerabilities based on the exposure and the intersectionality factors.
Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you very much.
Devadip, डॉक्टर घोष एंड अदर पार्टिसिपेंट्स, आप सभी के लिए मैं ये बोलना चाहता हूँ कि ये एक लगातार पूरा साल भर एक काम हम करना चाहते हैं, और उसके लिए एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप भी हमने ओपन किया. देवादित्य इज अ मेंबर ऑफ दैट, एंड वी ऑल आर देयर इन दैट ग्रुप. तो इसका जो नाम है उसका माइग्रेशन एंड ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग, माइग्रेशन एंड HT एंड रोल ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज, जिसको हम ये करना चाहते हैं. तो आई एम रिक्वेस्टिंग ऑल ऑफ यू to please join in that group and discuss, so that we can develop an advocacy tool on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aniruddha. And yes, it's an amazing work done. I am just following our time as well. मैंने अपने आप को इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं किया है. मेरा नाम सुमित्रा मुखर्जी है. मैं डेनिश रेफ्यूजी काउंसिल में कंट्री डायरेक्टर हूँ. बांग्लादेश को अभी सपोर्ट कर रही हूँ. अभी हम आगे बढ़ते हैं अपने टॉक शो में अपने. सो मैं अभी डॉक्टर अमृता साहू जी को बुलाना चाहूँगी. डॉक्टर अमृता साहू जी इज वर्किंग इन द सेक्टर ऑफ ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग 2009 से. इनका भी रिसर्च एंगल पे को लेके ही काम करती है, विच इज़ ब्यूटीफुल, बिकॉज हम लोग डेटा हमारे पास नहीं हो तो हम लोग शायद ढंग से काम नहीं कर पाएंगे. हमने अभी बहुत कुछ सुना देवप्रीता जी से. उन्होंने टाइप्स ऑफ डिस्प्लेसमेंट बताया. जब हम डिस्प्लेस होते हैं या माइग्रेशन होता है, देन देयर इज लॉट ऑफ क्रिमिनल्स के बारे में भी हम सुनते हैं. So what she is working in that field, she do map the criminals in sector of human trafficking, and doing, I mean, supporting or working with the criminal network, which is an amazing work. She also provides consultancy to the organization to the similar act sectors. She is currently heading a unit of research and monitoring and evaluation of northern states for International Justice Mission as well. I would like to invite her, where she will talk about the impact of the climate change on livelihood. Uh, अमृता जी प्लीज आप माइक लें और हमको बताएं आपका एक्सपीरियंस. थैंक यू.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sumitra ji. Thank you, Spear India, for allowing me to speak. इस सेक्टर में बहुत काम हो रहा है, where we can see that there is lot of forced migration because of climate change. In my experience, मैंने ये देखा है कि because of drought situation, because of flood situation, there is lot of climate change, and people do not know what their livelihood would be. They're so confused, especially in the rural sector and in agricultural sector. ये नोटिस किया गया है कि नॉट एवरीवन ओन्स एग्रीकल्चरल फील्ड। तो ऐसे में क्या होता है कि दूसरे के खेत में काम करते हैं या फिर कहीं और जाके काम करते हैं, बट देयर प्राइमरी रिक्वायरमेंट इज मनी, वर्क, फूड, शेल्टर, एजुकेशन ऑफ चिल्ड्रन। और ऐसे में ये लोग क्या करते हैं, दे टेक एडवांस of minimum 5,000 to 20,000, 35,000. This is the range that I have noticed in my field. And after taking advance, they are in bondage. They cannot leave till the accounts are settled. Now, for that, they may work in the local somebody's house, or they get displaced. और ये जो displacement होता है उसमें they are not allowed to leave the work wherever they go. Interstate migration भी हो जाता है इसमें. Their children are also taken into bondage. The whole family gets involved. तो ये कई तरह के सेक्टर में जाते हैं. एक तो ये लोग बैग मेकिंग यूनिट्स, या फिर दे गो फॉर सीजर मेकिंग फैक्ट्रीज, jeans, fishing, and there are a lot of other sectors also. Bricklanes is very common and been very much open. Carpet making, jewelry making, bangle making, you name it, they're everywhere. And these are not just children but adults also. I can give you scenario from my work in Bihar. मैं वहाँ पे 2 साल काम की, and it was mostly on child labor. When I went into the villages, I saw complete dry land. एक पेड़ नहीं है उन गांव में. वो लोग बोले कि we don't have anything to work. My question to them was कि बच्चे कहाँ हैं इस गांव के, कि वो काम पे गए हैं, हमने एडवांस लिया, हम उस एडवांस से खाना खा रहे हैं, एंड दिस चिल्ड्रन आर वर्किंग, बट वो एडवांस सेटल हुआ नहीं हुआ, दे हैव नो क्लू. So what happens is they become they come under bondage. They don't have freedom of movement. They face lot of physical abuses, mental abuses. And जब इनको रेस्क्यू करके लाया जाता है, there are a lot of organizations who work in rescuing these children and people in bonded labor. उसमें क्या होता है कि they come back, but come back to what is the question? कम बैक टू द सेम विलेज जहां पे काम नहीं है, कम बैक टू द सेम विलेज जहां पे उनको ड्रॉट वापस मिलेगा. द लोकल मनी लेंडर विल टॉर्चर देम. So when such things are taken to the government saying, sir, this is happening, or man, this is happening, the labor departments especially, they are in the notion saying that, oh well, at least they have some work to do. कुछ तो काम कर रहे हैं, नहीं तो ये लोग घर पे ऐसे ही बैठे बैठे रहते हैं भूखमरी से. Now that is a very sad thing to understand. So they don't understand कि minimum wages जो government law scheme है वो पूरा नहीं होता है. Then they do not have their identity cards. आधार कार्ड नहीं है. They don't have their caste certificates. They don't have BPL card. These are all the government schemes we can talk about, right? And they don't have anything to prove that they're residents of India or this society. With that, when they're rescued, इनको अगर बैंक अकाउंट भी बनाना होता है, then it's a work from very scratch that की आई कार्ड बनाना है. That is where a lot of NGOs and other volunteers are coming forward to say that we will help you. But even though they get that compensation money, if at all they get, पहले तो वो मिलता ही नहीं है. People from different organizations fight with these people saying that let's give you the minimum 20,000, 25,000, 30,000. लेकिन government authorities, if they do not recognize it as a trafficking or bonded labor or child labor, वो compensation मिलता ही नहीं है. Now, if it doesn't happen, then what are they going back to? So then repeated migration and trafficking keeps happening. We have seen instances where people have just run away from the places where they were working, And now bonded labor, people still think that they will be in chains. बाहर निकलने नहीं दिया जाएगा. No, the scene is very modernized now. क्या होता है कि इनको काम पे तो रखते हैं, इनके फैमिली मेंबर्स को रख लेते हैं, एक दो बच्चों को रख लेते हैं, वाइफ को रखते हैं या फिर कोई रिलेटिव को रखते हैं. एंड दे से दैट यू गो बैक टू द विलेज एंड यू कम बैक, only then we will release them. So a lot of times there are so much of torture that the children are sick and they can't go home. They can't take the child to the hospital. They can't take their sick old mother to the hospital because the owner of these factories won't let them do that. So there are a lot of challenges in these areas. What uh, triggers all of this is government aware of it? Government doesn't acknowledges that. And then it becomes extremely difficult to convince them that this is happening. Now, what people have been doing is doing trainings, awareness campaigns to make the government understand that this is a crime. This can't constantly keep happening. Now, even if at times there are FIRs, the criminal names will be just one and two, and the whole chain doesn't get tracked. Now, that is another big issue in this. Unless and until the whole chain is tracked, that this kind of trafficking, especially in the name of giving livelihood because of the climate issues, will keep happening. We've also noticed that when we go to the communities, we get a lot of names of this kind of criminals, but in FIR, the first information report, जो हम फाइल करते हैं, उसमें नहीं मिलता है आपको नाम, एक या दो नाम मिलेगा. And it does not stand valid because उसमें proper charges नहीं रहते हैं. So this kind of forced migration has been happening every here and there, and we, even if we see, we go, unseen. And recently I was traveling from Delhi to Haridwar. On the roadside I saw so many bricklanes, and I saw few elements of bonded labor. All I could do was inform the local authorities. So this is all what is happening in my experience I have shared. I'm open for questions.
No, thank you very much. It's inspiring at the same time. It's so sad to see like the helplessness. Uh, I would like to ask a question, and then we'll open the, like, we'll see, Aniruddha, if you can also check if someone have any question from the participants as well. You work with a lot of stakeholders. We work with the community, we work with the family and the parents. What is the major challenge do you face when you have a doubt that this probably the someone need help, and how do you tackle that, the whole, like, the challenge, and then you get to the right kind of authorities? And you also mentioned that some of the authorities are unaware and they are still undergoing the training, possibly. And we all know there is a transfer system, so one is trained and possibly the other one comes and then do a different way of working. So I would like to hear that part as well from you. And then if you can also maybe say your wish ki, we all are here, if anything you would like anyone from our side to contribute to be able to help this work.
What I've seen is the main challenge is to make people understand that you were trafficked. Unless and until the threat comes to the life, they don't understand it. Often these days in Odisha newspapers, खबर छपता रहता है कि इसके हाथ कट गए, उसके पैर कट गए, इसको मार पीट के भगा दिया, इसका मर्डर हो गया है. There are a lot of cases we come to here, especially from Odisha, for forced migration. यहाँ पे काम नहीं मिलता है, livelihood issues हैं, they go out. But what we have noticed is um, convincing them that this is bonded labor becomes difficult unless and until they have been there for years. For example, एक family से जब हम मिले, this family has been making bricks for years. generation after generation till now. They have not seen. When they were rescued, this man said that मैंने अपनी बेटी को यहाँ पे दफना दिया. And it was a garbage pit. Those kind of people who have been there for ages, who know that um, this is where I don't belong, I want to get rid of it. The other people who know कि हम यहाँ से खिसक के निकल सकते हैं. But what happens is the owners are all the goons. वो आधे रास्ते में इनको पकड़ते हैं, मार पीट के वापस लेके आते हैं कि तुम जाओगे तो तुमको हम मारेंगे. So that is also another issue. So when we take these things to different kind of authorities, yes, they get transferred. So the trainings that is being given on climate-based migration and displacement, I think it is a forced displacement. We can't call it, voluntary. They are made to a condition. They're given the वो लालच दे के उनको बुलाया जाता है कि तुम 5,000 रख लो, 10,000 रख लो. I still remember this family who had got advance of 8,500. उनका बच्चा 4 साल का था, उसको हैदराबाद भेज दिया चूड़ी बनाने के लिए. बच्चा सोच रहा है कि घर पे चूड़ी बन के जो पैसा आ रहा है वो मालिक भेज रहा है. बट देन व्हेन आई आस्क्ड द फैमिली कि आपको पैसे मिलते हैं, पता नहीं बीच में आता है वो आदमी 2,000-3,000 दे के जाता है. So the grandmother is saying that, and with that 2,000-3,000 she survives for some time. And when I met this child in shelter home, he had marks which looked like chicken pox. I took the picture, sent it to a doctor friend, and asked, "Do you think this is a chicken pox mark, or I am seeing something?" She said, "It doesn't look like chicken pox. Somewhere, like I could see his flesh on his legs, hands, and those were like dots that we see in chicken pox usually." So with 2-3 visits, he revealed that he works in a spike shoe factory. और वहां पे थोड़ा गलती होता है, उसी स्पाइक शू से उनको मैनेजर मारता है. So these are like, if you are saying that these are climate-based induced migration, this is actually, I feel in a lot of sense, is a trafficking. Illegally it is being done, and the legal cases needs to be made strong. For that, multiple rounds, we need to go and talk to the authorities. Varna they get transferred, somebody else comes, that is not their priority, it becomes very difficult. Constant training. I mean, all these organizations keep doing trainings and meeting, especially the labor department, to explain them, district magistrate and labor department, that this is a crime.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, first of all, knowing that I'm going to be trapped, that is one kind of awareness. And then when you already been trapped, and then so much support is required. Thank you for that. And I can see the Lee have really message. Lee, would you like to come forward to say something? I saw your message, I guess.
Yeah, Lee,
Yeah,
if you can
please.
come forward, would be great.
Unmute.
Unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I left my comments because these are issues we've been talking like since years and years, and now something which has been in practice, what Dr. Amrita has just narrated so well with case studies. It has been persisting over years and years and centuries. The only issue is that now it's repackaged and now we call it climate slavery. So slavery still exists in the country. And whether we call it slavery, we call it anti-human trafficking, or we call it child labor or bonded labor. The
Yeah.
issue is that I cannot wrap my mind around this, that the authorities are not aware. They are aware, but there are very few who are very sensitive and proactive. And as it goes down at the decentralized levels, then there's a lot of power dynamics, and we all know about that. So I think the issue here is that while we are talking about climate induced or climate, I see that climate change is aggravating the existing issues. Not everything that's happening that we are witnessing around us is induced by climate, but they were already there. It's getting aggravated. So, what can we really do that the authorities will take note of it rather than turn a blind eye? And there are so many case studies. There are organizations working on this on this issue. But where is it that we are? I think we need to really do some kind of a assessment in the country. Where is it that one, what is the need still? Where is the gap? And what exactly we need to do, and then come together as a network. Because when one organization does something and highlights some issues, or an individual does it, or a network does it, these days it is normally, actually these days it's not really so safe. People don't come forward. So platforms like Spear, especially when we are seeing it in the context in contrast with climate change, how can we really build a position on this? And then after Spear builds as a position or not, Anirudh, I think with Spear and even outside of Spear, how we can come together and really build a position, and what could be an action plan for all the organizations to work on this is what we need. According to me, that is something the need of the hour, because we are aware of all these issues. We've been working for several years, but the thing is that where is the breakthrough? So what is an action plan that we can adopt at the end of this meeting, if there can be a follow on? That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Anirudh,
Yeah,
Anirudh, you have something to say? I think, yes, she
yeah.
really said something which we all
Yeah.
need to
Uh,
work on. Yeah.
Thanks, Lee. I don't want to take much time because Dr. Ila Jafar, she has to leave, so she has some other programs she mentioned. Uh, but what Amrita has said, that is that I agree that it is human trafficking. It is, but the point is that we have to go to the root why this human trafficking is taking place. We all know, but since there is no policy, I also agree. But what I don't agree, that is some sensible people in the authority. But I am not saying that we are at the mercy of some sensible people. I am saying that there should be a policy so that we can raise our issues, that these are human trafficking, these are violating human rights issues, these are violating dignity issues, and all this. So that way I am actually, we have uh, formed a separate group for discussing all these things. And I am requesting all of you, Lee, Amrita is already there, Lee, Dr. Jafar, Amida, and many others, all the participants I have already written. So you can please join that group, and we let us try to just initiate in developing a one advocacy tool. That is what is needed, and very much needed. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just now it is over to Dr. Mukherjee, yeah, Sumita Mukherjee.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. We are still running out of time. So let's invite Dr. Ellie. Um, uh, uh, Let me introduce her first. And sorry for the delay. And I hope we probably will have
No
some time
worries.
to
You
listen.
can
Yeah.
skip the introduction. I had informed Aniruddha also that I have to leave at 5:30. So it literally leaves we will leave in 6 minutes. Let's just give the introduction part and come to the question.
Please go ahead. Then, what we are going to hear from her is that because we have now have heard like a lot of situation, we would hear the challenges in the legal protection for climate migrant. So this is also very important, that how legalities work. We need to understand. Let's hear from Elia.
Sure. Thank you, Sumitra ji. And good evening, everyone. আমি বাংলা বলতে পারি না, so that's sorry for that. I'll stick to English and Hindi mix of it. अभी तक जो बात की अनिरुद्ध ने भी और हमारे पहले स्पीकर ने ली ने कि कितने सदियों से चला आ रहा है this kind of discrimination that we are facing. We are talking of distressed migration, but it's not always when we are saying climate-led migration, it's not necessarily only because of climate, but there are so many layers. It's a very complex issue and cannot be addressed just by looking at one angle of it. Uh, However, having said that, the reality is that those who have migrated, they have limited access to whether it be resources, to policies or schemes of government, and the enforcement or law and order framework. मैं आपको recent example दूंगी. We are talking of trafficking, and there was a case in one of the communities we are working in urban slums in Noida, जहाँ पे migrant population है सारी. उसमें one of the family we were working closely with, उनकी बेटी 14-year-old girl went missing for 6 days. Nobody knew कि it's missing. They were talking to everyone. They were searching, but stigma and fear of this being known to others and how it will be seen, the family had kept it to themselves only. After 6 days, then when they realized कि अभी भी बेटी नहीं मिल रही है, कहीं कुछ बुरा नहीं हो गया हो, that is when, since we were working, so they approached me that if I can accompany them to the police station. Now, this is where the role and sensitization comes for the level of sensitization orientation comes for the law enforcement agencies and lots of mechanisms that are on paper existing. For example, in 2020, when Ministry of Home Affairs gave an advisory or issued an advisory for anti-human trafficking units, in most of the places they are only on paper. Same with the anti-human trafficking cells. जो एक वन स्टॉप सेंटर्स हैं जो अभी काफी जगह एटलीस्ट हमें दिल्ली एनसीआर में तो देखते हैं, उनका अवेयरनेस और वहाँ पे जो स्टाफ है उनका कितना ज्यादा सेंसिटाइजेशन है या ओपननेस है टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट द पीपल हु आर कमिंग टू देम आर देमसेल्व्स afraid and coming with a stigma. They don't want this to be spread or others to get to know about it. तो वो वाले issues उतना sensitization नहीं है, the way they talk. In this particular case, since I was accompanying, the way they handled the situation was different because they could not just throw the family away. But while they were talking to me, it was still some level of dignity. When they were questioning कि 6 दिन से सो रही थी और बोला नहीं, लड़की कहीं चली गई और किस किससे दोस्ती थी. Straight away that angle and going very negative. So every time I had to intervene and say that they are here to complain, please note down, record what happened. And then in that case, they also knew one of the very influential person whom they had doubt on because there was some evidence. But the police was also very clear कि नहीं उनका नाम नहीं लेके आइए, इससे तो आपका केस बिगड़ जाएगा. So there are levels starting from very local chowki level to police station, thana, to the one-stop centers that are established for this, where one community people are scared to approach. People are scared to approach because they are not sure if they will be dealt with dignity. इनको किस तरह से बात किया जाएगा, उनको सम्मान को चोट पहुंचाई जाएगी, उसका डर है. दूसरा उनको अपने ही अड़ोस पड़ोस रिश्तेदारों का डर है कि स्पेशली फॉर गर्ल्स एंड वुमेन के केस में आगे जाके अगर लड़की है स्पेशली 14 ईयर ओल्ड तो रियली स्केर्ड कि शादी कोई नहीं करेगा. The stigma continues because of which they do not go to complain. When they do go to complain, then the first level of barrier comes where the people sitting on the other side are not very sensitized on how to address these issues. There's a requirement for adequate training and sensitization of these people. Then जैसे अनिरुद्धा बोल रहे थे कि there has to be also national level policy specific to these issues जो कि missing है. We cannot be depending on the person sitting there क्योंकि अभी वही हो रहा है कि whoever is person focused चल रहा है, if the person is sensitive, is understanding तो काम होता है. If they are not sensitive and they also treat poor migrants, climate migrants, if we call them, as objects, not as humans. The way they talk is very disrespectful, absolutely compromising on their dignity. Seventy, एक जो रोल है एनजीओ का या लोकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का वो बहुत ही ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है और कैसे हम लेजिस्लेशन में और लॉ में भी लेके आए ये रोल जो कि हमारे जैसे संस्थाएं कर सकते हैं in terms of helping people give the confidence कि वो अपनी बात को ले जा सकते हैं to the enforcement authorities and also training the people on the side of departments also and policy makers as well on how to be sensitive in handling such issues. So I would like to stop here, and maybe I can take one more minute if there is any question. I'm really sorry I had to rush to a hospital to attend to a friend, which is yesterday came up. Otherwise, I would have continued for long. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. I think what we can do that we can collect the questions and then we can share with you so that when you have time you can answer that way, right? Thank you for waiting and it's very good. Yeah, have a good day. Thanks. Uh, okay, so what we'll do, like we will collect the question and I can see that there are a few questions already on the chat. You can always keep posting there. अभी मैं शारदा को बुलाती हूँ। शारदा हमारी यूथ कॉन्क्लेव में है। शारदा आप हो यहाँ पे? हेलो।
Sharda? Yeah. Sharda is there.
हाय। शारदा हमारी बहुत ही यंग है। वो अपनी कम्युनिटी से अभी हमने पॉलिसी लेवल से, गवर्नमेंट लेवल से, रिसर्च पॉइंट से फैक्ट्स बहुत सुना। अभी हम शारदा से सुनते हैं कि वो जब काम करती है तो वो कहाँ-कहाँ काम करती है, कैसे करती है। इट विल वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टू हियर फ्रॉम हर। शारदा जी आप आए।
जी मैम। जी मैं गांव में काम करती हूँ विलेज लेवल वॉलेंटियर के रूप में। हेलो हेलो।
Yes,
नहीं हमको
yes,
सुनाई
हम
देता है
सुन पा रहे हैं,
आपका।
हम सुन रहे हैं, हाँ,
सुनाई दे रहा है जी सर।
हाँ, हाँ।
जी विलेज लेवल वॉलेंटियर के रूप में काम करती हूँ। और हम लोग के गांव में भी क्या बोलते हैं, ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग होता है। होता था, पहले भी होता था, अभी भी होता है। बहुत सारे लोग बाहर जाते हैं, कोई कोई तो खो जाता है, नहीं आते हैं। और बहुत सारे लोगों को तो ढूंढ कर लाते हैं। और हम लोग ग्रीन स्काउट बोल के जो काम करते हैं बच्चों के साथ में, तो हम बच्चों को भी सिखाते हैं कि गांव में कोई अनजान आदमी आने से बताना, और उसके बारे में ध्यान देना कि किसी को ना ले जाए और बिक्री ना कर दे बाहर ले जाके, ये सब बोल के बताते हैं। ज्यादातर ट्रैफिकिंग आदमी सब ज्यादातर बगान बंद होने के कारण से बाहर जाते हैं, क्योंकि हम लोग का बगान बंद है बहुत पहले से ही। तो इसके कारण रोजगार नहीं मिल पाता है इधर, इसलिए सब कोई बाहर ही जाते हैं। महिला सब भी जाते हैं बाहर। और कभी कभी तो अभी तो ऐसा हो गया कि ज्यादा नहीं पढ़ने पाने के कारण से बच्चा सब भी बाहर जा रहा है। जो 18 साल से ज्यादा हो गया है वो सब भी बाहर जाते हैं, और किसी किसी को बच्चा देखने के लिए भी लेके चले जाते हैं, छोटा छोटा में ही। तो जब हम लोग मीटिंग करते हैं तो बच्चे सब आते हैं, बच्चा से बात निकलता है। जब वो ग्रीन स्पॉट मीटिंग होता है तो वो लोग को खबर देने से हम लोग बताते हैं अपने कोऑर्डिनेटर को। और क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से भी आजकल गांव में ज्यादा उपजाऊ नहीं हो रहा है, बरसात के कारण सब्जी सब भी नहीं उगा पाते हैं। इसी कारण से बगान का हालत तो बहुत खराब है अभी। हेलो।
हाँ जी। अभी हम लोग सुन नहीं पा रहे हैं, आप बोलिए।
जी। और माइग्रेशन, जो वो आदमी सब चले जाते हैं या कोई नया आता है तो होता है गांव में आके बस जाते हैं। बहुत सारा फैमिली हम लोग का यहाँ से भी बाहर जाके बस गए हैं। वो लोग का अभी उतना आना जाना नहीं है, पूरा फैमिली ही चले जाते हैं, और हम लोग का गांव में भी कहीं से आके बैठ जाते हैं, तो ऐसा भी होता है गांव में भी।
हाँ, गांव की परिस्थिति वैसे ही मुश्किल है, उसके बाद में अभी क्लाइमेट के कारण। और आप अपना थोड़ा सा और जो आप काम करते हैं, कैसे आप वॉलेंटियर क्या क्या काम करते हैं ना, वो भी थोड़ा सा आप बताइए।
वॉलेंटियर हम लोग बच्चों के साथ में करते हैं, उसके बाद महिलाओं के साथ कम्युनिटी मीटिंग करते हैं, बच्चों को साफ सफाई के बारे में सिखाते हैं। कम्युनिटी के साथ में बात करते हैं कि काम सब कैसा हो रहा है, कहाँ जाते हैं वो लोग। कोई कोई लेबर काम करते हैं, कोई कोई किसी का घर में काम करने जाता है, इधर थोड़ा टाउन है उधर। और हेल्थ के बारे में भी बात करते हैं हम महिला सबसे। तो और बागान की परिस्थिति खराब होने के कारण महिला पुरुष सब तो कोई कोई किसी किसी का डेरा सब बांधता है, उसके बाद उसी से अपना दिन का खर्चा निकाल लेता है।
हाँ, थैंक यू। आप धन्यवाद, आपने अपना बड़ा मुश्किल काम है, सिचुएशन भी मुश्किल है, और आप जो कर रहे हैं वो भी बहुत मुश्किल है। थैंक यू शारदा जी, आपने अपना समय दिया, और आपको हमारी तरफ से ढेर ढेर शुभकामनाएं।
जी मैम, आपको
बाकी
भी
नेटवर्क तो आपके साथ है ही, बहुत अच्छा लगा आपको सुन के।
जी
आप
मैम।
जैसे यंग लोग ही आगे बढ़ के ना देश को संभालना है। थैंक यू सो मच। सो व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू डू, अभी हम हमारा हमने सबसे सुना अभी। नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू ओपन द फ्लोर, and anyone can take the mic, and I definitely need some help because I cannot somehow see the hands. Before that, I can see there are a few questions from Joachim. Would you like to come up? Joachim Campo?
Good evening, ma'am. So this is Kapu right now in the office. So I've written. So previously, ma'am said, so while she was traveling from Delhi to Haridwar, she noticed some bonded labor. So she noticed it, but I'm so better to it's can share to some social group. So only we can raise awareness because leaving one place and we cannot control or intervene other places, but we can raise awareness about this and bring it to the public about this, the bonded liver and other.
No, definitely. That's the way. Maybe Dr. Amrita, would you like to come and respond to this? That will be very good, actually. I mean, this is how we should be doing together at our own level.
Sure. What is happening is there are organizations that they are working in partnership with each other. Um, we can do a lot of things, but what would be a legal way of doing it is the best way. Because ultimately, we want things not to happen. And for that, the legal way is the proper way, as I wrote in the chat also. Why? Because first thing is these criminals are not ordinary people like us. They have political connections. We can post it on social group marking the geospatial pointing at this kind of locations, hotspots, which are usually called. But then what happens is it just alerts them and they will shift their settlement to somewhere else. And if this settlement and establishment of these factories or these bricklines are shifted, then you will not be able to find. So the proper way of hitting these people is taking the help of the labor department, taking the police, people who know the legal processes properly, and then do the rescue. See, what I saw was very shocking. Um, there was a chimney, there was bricklaying, they were making bricks. One small girl, a husband and wife, and one old lady was there, and there was only a tarpaulin, and few clothes were drying. And I saw that they were looking malnourished, definitely. And clearly, from far, from the other end of the highway, I could see and find out that this is, bonded labor. But then, can we go ahead and take different organizations' help who work in this sector and do the rescues? There are a lot of organizations who do rescues. And if the proper charges are put in the FIR, then it helps. And we have now a lot of law. Only Bonded Labor Abolition Act, if that is also charged, the criminals run away. So you need to put the human trafficking charges, you need to put SC/ST atrocity charges, a lot of charges. If you put together, then the case is built strong. And the criminals go into the jail. They don't get, they are unable to escape. So there is a dent in the network who are actually making this situation worse. There are a lot of such places, hidden places and open places. It's only us who need to see and find. And there are a lot of AI now. A lot of people talk of AI. I'm recently working along with one organization which is talking about using AI to which contains poverty index, livelihood index, and a lot of other index combined together. They form a grid on the map of India. They can find out where the hotspots are of this kind of industries. There are a lot of ways of doing it, but what is the proper way? We need to together decide and proceed.
Thank you. Very beautifully said. Yes. I hope you got your answer right. Or you'd like to come up again?
Sumitra ji, there is Mr. Aniruddha Hajra. He has raised his hand, so he may be given
Oh,
chance.
okay. Please come forward. Yeah, please, please.
Good evening, everyone. Sir, or all to I say that हम लोग क्या देखते हैं in every case why they are working and in that such bad situation because they are very poor and they have no to food, so they all go to send their child to work or like that. But हम लोग जो ग्राउंड पे काम करते हैं हम लोग देखते हैं क्या एवरी क्या मेरा आवाज आ रहा है मैम? हेलो?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Very well.
you are.
हम लोग वी वर्क मेनी सर्वे इन दैट एरियाज. हम लोग बहुत एरियाज में सर्वे किया. मैं खुद ग्राउंड पे काम किया. सो एवरी सर्वे और एवरी हाउस वी सी दैट सब लोगों का 5-6 करके बच्चा है. ठीक है, तो हम ये सोचते हैं व्हाई वी आर नॉट लॉन्च. हम लोग क्यों नहीं एक ऐसा कैंपेन लॉन्च करें जो पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल और वन चाइल्ड पॉलिसी थ्रू हम लोग तो बेसिकली एक सोशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है. थ्रू गवर्नमेंट और कोलैबोरेट विद गवर्नमेंट, तो गवर्नमेंट के चिट्ठी लिखे और ऐसे जो एक ही बच्चा होना चाहिए जो भी है. इससे क्या होगा तो उसका लाइफ सुधर जाएगा. अब देखो जितना भी देखो ऐसे आज जब हमारे जो नेक्स्ट कंट्री है चाइना, वो जब हम आजाद हुए थे, व्हेन वी आर फ्रीडम्स, दैट वी आर सेम पोजीशन, बट नाउ वेयर दे. सो मेरा कहने का यही मतलब है, जो जितना भी बुरा केस आता है हम लोग देखे हैं, सबका ही ज्यादा बच्चा है. 6-7 करके बच्चे हैं या 4-5. बेसिकली तो एवरेज जो चाइल्ड इज दे आर 4 मिनिमम एटलीस्ट. सो वो लोग तो ऐसा कुछ हो सकता है. ये मेरा एक सुझाव था, एक प्रस्ताव था सभी के लिए, ऑल ऑफ एवरीवन हु आर पार्टिसिपेट, हु आर ऑर्गेनाइजर, ऑल सबके लिए. थैंक यू मैम. और इस बारे में कुछ आप लोग भी सोचता है तो बोलना चाहते हैं तो अच्छा है.
No, thank you so much. No, that's very insightful thoughts. हाँ, अभी आर क्यों बोलছে, इज देयर एनीवन हु, और कोई बोलना चाहते हैं?
In fact, yeah, this is Aniruddha speaking. In fact, जो अलीपुरद्वार डिस्ट्रिक्ट में टी गार्डन एरियाज में जहाँ पे हम लोग काम करते हैं, आई वॉज डिस्कसिंग विथ फॉर्मर एसपी सुपरिंटेंडेंट ऑफ पुलिस over there, because we have developed a model safe migration thing. So it was like one has to submit an application. It is in her own language, an application to the Gram Panchayat, informing that with whom she or he is going, his or her phone number, how much he or she will get, when she will come back. So all the, and where she will stay and all these things, all this information उनको देना था. इसके बाद उनको ये ग्राम पंचायत में इंडोर्स हो जाने के बाद वही सेम एप्लीकेशन को उनको थाना में अपना जो रेस्पेक्टिव पुलिस स्टेशन होता है उसमें दाखिला करना था. ये देने के बाद वो गांव से बाहर जा सकती थी. सो अभी कोविड के बाद ये हम लोगों को सामने आ गया कि हमारे पास कोई डाटाबेस नहीं है. तो ये डाटाबेस बनाना ये कोविड से बहुत पहले का बात है. तो उस तरीके से जो काम, तो मैंने सुपरिटेंडेंट ऑफ पुलिस जो है अभी तो अलीपुरद्वार में नहीं है, वो कलकत्ता में है, दूसरा काम में है, दूसरा सीनियर पोजीशन में आ गया. तो उनको मैंने फोन करके पूछा था, एंड यू कैन ऑलवेज चेक विथ हिम. हिज नेम इज रविंद्रनाथ, अभाडू रविंद्रनाथ. सो आई आस्क्ड हिम, जी सर ये जो सेफ माइग्रेशन का बारे में इसको आपने इतना उसका मतलब खुलासा भी किया और उसमें बढ़ावा भी दिया, आपने उतना ये किया, तो क्या हुआ, ये क्या क्यों एक्सेप्टेड नहीं हुआ और ऐसा प्रॉब्लम क्यों हो रहा है? Then he said that about that individual approaches. As an individual, I was there and I liked your approach and I liked the system to be adopted, and I adopted it. But it is not a system driven approach. So this system driven approach ये नहीं होने के कारण बहुत जगह हम लोगों का प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है. तो एक जैसा कि इम्पोवरिशमेंट प्रोसेस एक बात हो जाता है, तो इम्पोवरिशमेंट प्रोसेस के साथ साथ बहुत कुछ जुड़े हुए हैं, तो ये भी एक कारण है. अभी देखिए इम्पोवरिशमेंट प्रोसेस का ही एक बात करता हूँ कि कोविड के समय मैंने वहाँ का जो सीनियर प्रोग्राम कोऑर्डिनेटर है उनको बोला था कि उनसे बातचीत कर चल रहा था कि भाई यहाँ पे हम लोग ऐसा काम अगर करें तो क्या दिक्कत होगा. तो शी सेड दैट दादा ये पॉसिबल अभी नहीं होगा, इसलिए क्योंकि ना आप देख लीजिए एमआर वो जो एमजी एनआरजीए का है, तो एमजी एनआरजीए में अगर वो गुजरात चले गए तो भी उनको यहाँ बैठ बैठ के उनका बैंक अकाउंट में पैसा चला जाता है. तो कभी 20%, 30%, 50%, वो सब नेगोशिएशन के ऊपर है, लेकिन पैसा मिल जाता है. तो जिसको पैसा ऐसा मिल जाता है जो यहाँ पे काम ही नहीं किया लेकिन उसमें पेरोल में उनका नाम है, तो वो क्या चाहेगा आपको ये इंफॉर्मेशन देने के लिए? नहीं चाहेगा. एंड दैट वाज रियली ट्रू दैट वी हैव ट्राइड एंड वी फेल्ड. सो और इससे पहले एक बात ये हो गया, दूसरा बात है जो जैसे कि शारदा बोल रही थी, शारदा हैज बीन वर्किंग, इज एसोसिएटेड विथ प्रिज्म एंड हैज बीन वर्किंग एज अ VLV, विलेज लेवल वॉलंटियर इन अलीपुरद्वार डिस्ट्रिक्ट, जिसका बारे में आप लोगों को मालूम है कि सभी ज्यादातर चाय बागानी है वहाँ पे. तो चाय बागान है, तो चाय बागान में तो थोड़ा सा ये क्लोज टी गार्डन हम बोलने से लोग सोचेंगे कि हम सिंपैथी लेके बात करना चाहते हैं. नहीं, सिंपैथी का बात नहीं है. बात यह है दीज आर क्लोज टी गार्डन्स एंड इसको समझना जरूरी है. क्लोज टी गार्डन्स क्यों बोला जा रहा है? पत्ती तोड़ना, plucking leaves are only not the activities of tea garden areas. However, ये लोग जो माइग्रेटेड होके आ गए थे यहाँ पे, जो जिस तरीके का चलता है, मतलब ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग बोलिए, तो ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग इसमें इसके लिए ज्यादा होता है क्योंकि ना यहाँ पे लोगों के पास पैसा नहीं है। तो लोगों के पास पैसा नहीं है, लोग खास ज्यादा तौर पे छोटनागपुर एरिया से ही आए हुए थे। उनको शिफ्ट करके लाया गया था टी प्लांटेशन के लिए, वो ब्रिटिश जमाना में। तो वो लोग क्या करते हैं, वो लोग यहाँ पे रहकर जो काम पहले करते थे, उनको लकड़ी मिलता था, उनको राशन मिलता था, उनको स्वास्थ्य के बारे में सब सुविधाएं मिलती थी, उनको घर मिलता था, सब कुछ उनको मिल जाता था। और उसका जो ह- हफ्ता मिलता था, हफ्ता या 15 दिन में जो उसका मिलता था, उनका पेंशन भी होता था, सब कुछ था। अभी वो सब नहीं है। अभी पत्ता, अगर उसका भी नियम बहुत बदल गया है। अगर 25 केजी पत्ता आप तोड़ सकते हैं तो सही है, तो आपको 200 रुपया मिलेगा। नहीं तोड़ सकते हैं तो आपको एक भी पैसा नहीं मिलेगा। और अगर ये 6 दिन आप बराबर काम करेंगे तो आपको पैसा मिलेगा। 6 दिन, 5 दिन काम किया, एक दिन आपका मतलब प्रॉब्लम हो गया, आप काम पे नहीं जा पाए, तो आपका पैसा नहीं मिलेगा। तो 5 दिन का पैसा भी नहीं मिलेगा जो दिहाड़ी मिलता था। तो ये सब कारण के लिए लोग लोग तो खाएंगे, लोग को तो जीना है। तो क्या करते हैं, तो सबसे ज्यादा विक्टिम हो जाते हैं जो बच्ची है हमारा, एडोलेसेंट गर्ल्स जिसको हम कहते हैं। वो लोग, उन लोगों का जल्दी शादी करा देते हैं। और ये एडोलेसेंट स्टेज में पहुंचे हैं जरूर, लेकिन ये जो अब अभी चाइल्ड एडल्ट, ये जो लेवल है, वो लेवल उनको समझ में नहीं आता है। तो बहुत ज्यादा चाइल्ड मैरिज भी हो जाता है। तो गर्ल चाइल्ड मैरिज, अभी चाइल्ड मैरिज होने से क्या क्या होगा, उसका क्या नुकसान पहुंचेगा, ये परिवार को पता नहीं। तो उसके लिए और सब कुछ जानकारी सरकार के पास भी नहीं आता है, थाना में, वीडियो में, ये सब जगह पे नहीं आता है। तो उसमें एक तो कैंपेनिंग होना जरूरी है, लोगों को समझाना चाहिए, होने से ये पनिशमेंट हो जाएगा तुम। तो उसके डर से, डर के मारे से कम गर्ल्स मैरिज, चाइल्ड मैरिज बंद हो सकता है। ट्रैफिकिंग ट्रैफिकिंग बंद करने का कोई तरीका नहीं है। तो उन्होंने क्या किया, ये चाइल्ड मैरिज वो एक आवरण है, ऐसा मतलब लड़की का शादी करा दे रहा है, लेकिन उसमें 50,000 या 70,000 कुछ दहेज ले लिया तो वो तो खत्म हो जाएगा। और लड़की का जो, जिन्होंने शादी करके ले जा रहा है, वो भी, ये दिस इज नॉट ए फॉर्मल मैरिज काइंड ऑफ ए थिंग, वो लेके जा रहा है, ठीक है। तो ले जाने में ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग अच्छा होगा क्योंकि ना वो शादी करके ले गया, ये साबित उनके पास है। और इसके बाद उन्होंने उसको फेंक देंगे, और ऐसा भी हुआ है। तो जो गांव-गांव में इन्होंने जो मॉडल बनाया, जो गांव-गांव में ग्रीन स्काउट्स है, तो ग्रीन स्काउट्स मतलब बच्चे लोगों को, क्योंकि ना उनका तो कोई एंटरटेनमेंट का कोई है ही नहीं उसमें, तो बच्चों को तो एंटरटेनमेंट भी चाहिए। तो उनको एक ग्रीन स्काउट बना के, उसमें विज्ञान क्लब बना के, तो क्लस्टर लेकर, तो ये सब बना के, ये चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन के बारे में इन लोगों को ये सिखाया गया, ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग के बारे में ये सिखाया गया कि कोई भी बाहर से गांव में लोग आते हैं तो उनके ऊपर नजर रखना। तो ये दे बिकम विजिलेंट। नजर रखने के बाद ये इसमें से कोई एक जाके छुपके से उनका जो कोऑर्डिनेटर है या वीएलवी है, किसी को खबर बता देता है। वो कोऑर्डिनेटर जो है वो आके पूछता है, जे जो बाहर से आए हैं, जो आप किस लिए आए, उनका आइडेंटिटी क्या है। तो कोशिश करता है उसको जानकारी लेने के लिए। अगर सेटिस्फैक्टरी जानकारी नहीं है, सेटिस्फैक्टरी जानकारी हो जाए, जानना है, मतलब जान पहचान आदमी है तो अलग बात है। अगर सेटिस्फैक्टरी आइडेंटिटी नहीं है तो वो सीनियर प्रोग्राम कोऑर्डिनेटर को इन्फॉर्म कर देते हैं ताकि पुलिस में खबर पहुंच जाए। तो रेस्पेक्टिव जो लोकल पुलिस स्टेशन है, लोकल पुलिस स्टेशन से आदमी आते हैं, आके पूछताछ करने के बाद पता चलता है ये ट्रैफिकर है, ये क्या है, वो क्या है, सब पता चलता है। ये व्हाई आई हैव सेड ऑल दिस थिंग्स, बिकॉज दिस इज टू जस्ट इन्फॉर्म यू कि कोई भी इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक कोई भी आदमी अच्छा है बोल के, कोई सिस्टम ड्रिवन अप्रोच नहीं है, आदमी अच्छा है बोल के ये काम हो गया है, वो उसमें काम ज़्यादा नहीं होता है। हम लोगों का अगर ट्रैफिकिंग बंद करना है, हम लोगों का अगर माइग्रेशन में चेक लाना है, हम लोगों को मतलब आई एम सेइंग माइग्रेशन में चेक लाना है, ये वॉलंटरी माइग्रेट, जैसे कि मैंने माइग्रेट किया गाँव से, मैं शहर आ गया, तो यहाँ मैं कमाने के लिए आया। तो इसमें किसी को मैं ज़िम्मेदार नहीं ठहराना चाहता हूँ। लेकिन जो जिसका मकान गिर गया है, जो रिवर इरोशन का शिकार है, तो उसका मकान कहाँ से मिलेगा? वो तो क्लाइमेट इंड्यूस्ड डिस्प्लेसमेंट के शिकार ही है। तो ये ऐसा लोगों के लिए एक सिस्टम बनाना ज़रूरी है, एक सिस्टमैटिक अप्रोच होना ज़रूरी है, और उसी के लिए हम लोगों को एक एडवोकेसी टूल बनाना ज़रूरी है। थैंक यू। सुमित्रा जी, ओवर टू यू।
नो, वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट। बिना एडवोकेसी टूल से, सिस्टमेटिक वे से, वी कैनॉट रीच द गोल। उसमें बहुत सारी चीजें मिस हो सकता है। थैंक यू सो मच। हमारे पास में अभी 4 मिनट है। आई वुड लाइक टू इनवाइट from Sphere India for the vote of thanks, and we definitely will keep continuing to have this network live and get the questions. Please share your questions and queries so that we can support you with answers. So I believe who is coming good? Yes,
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 ma'am. Thank you so
yes,
much,
yes.
ma'am. Thank you so much. So, काफी अच्छा सेशन रहा सर, अनुदा sir. Thank you so much. So, thank you so much for the joining us today. This insightful session, and जैसे कि ये एक सीरीज सर चलाने की बात कर रहे हैं, तो उसी के बारे में बोलना चाहूँगा कि ये पूरी एक सीरीज हम चलाएंगे। जैसे हर मंथ में हम एक सेशन रखेंगे, और इन दिस टॉपिक एंड अदर टॉपिक्स ऑल्सो। So we will have more webinars on this topic or many other topics. सॉरी, मेरी थोड़ी आज तबीयत खराब है, तो मेरी आवाज काफी दिनों से मैं थोड़ा बीमार चल रहा हूँ। So you have any suggestion or any feedback relative to topics or any commands? So you feel to free to write to us, and stay tuned our social media channel to regular updates from Spare India Academy. And thank you so much, panelist, and Anuradha sir and Prism. And thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.